And joining us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning, Marshall Chriswell with his program, Martial Law. We remind you that this radio program is intended to be for informational purposes only. This information does not constitute legal advice. Now, the law is constantly changing, and the information may not be complete or correct depending on the date and your particular legal problem. Remember, each legal problem depends on its individual facts, and different jurisdictions have different laws and regulations. Because of these differences, you should not act or rely on any information in this segment without seeking the advice of a competent attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction for your particular problem. And Marshall, I understand that you're going to be conducting a seminar coming up in the near future, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good morning, Chuck. I am going to be conducting just a basic estate planning seminar. This is sponsored by Aristocare at Hillsdale Park, the personal care facility in Hillsdale. Their Alzheimer's support group is sponsoring this, but it's free. It's open to the public, and it will take place on Tuesday, November 5th at 6 o'clock p.m., and that'll be out at the Church of the Resurrection Administration Center on Morris Street in Clymer.
That's Election Day.
Oh, is that the case?
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tuesday, November 5th.
I guess it would be.
So we'll advise folks to go out and vote and then head to Hillsdale for the seminar. What topics will you be covering in that program?
Sure. I anticipate that we will cover, and it will be a bit directed by what the questions from the folks in attendance are, but I anticipate that we're going to cover the importance of at least a basic estate plan, including having a last will and testament, having financial and healthcare power of attorney in place, living wills, potentially, when you might need to have a trust in place, whether a living trust or an irrevocable trust. Just all those different tools that are in our toolbox to help folks plan for the future.
So those probably the people that you're trying to come to this would be our older population, but also those who are in charge of caring for the older population as well.
I anticipate that's going to be a significant portion of the folks in attendance, since it is sponsored by the Alzheimer's support group, and that's so I would anticipate that. It's certainly open to anybody. The planning strategies and the information that I'm going to provide will be geared towards basic estate planning that anybody could use, but absolutely, and it's so important for people who are, if you've been diagnosed with a dementia disease, or you're taking care of someone who's who has a dementia disease or is infirm in some other way, the caretakers can really be involved in this process as well.
So I'd say any adult probably should plan to attend this, because you're either going to be in that position later on, or, as you mentioned, you're going to be taking care of somebody who might be in that position now or in the near future.
That's right, and it's good. I always say I don't get, when it comes to estate planning consultations in my office, I don't get many 25-year-olds walking through the door. But it's really important to think about it at any stage in life.
Boy, it comes before you know it, let me tell you. You're 25 today, you wake up and you're in your 50s and 60s, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to take care of mom or dad? They have to have all this stuff that has to be ready for a certain time, and this would be the perfect opportunity to attend that seminar. Again, November 5th, the time again?
It's at 6 o'clock, November 5th.
And the location?
At the Administration Center of the Church of the Resurrection at 349 Morris Street in Clymer.
Okay, so we invite folks to come out there. What else do we want to bring up this morning?
Well, I think it's interesting you raised the caretakers. You were talking about a lot of folks obviously are diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia diseases, and folks that become unable to make decisions for themselves in the latter stages of their life. And I just, and I've said it before, but I can't stress how important it is to have documents in place to deal with that situation. I've had several cases lately where folks have come in to see me and they want to put documents in place. Unfortunately, they cannot because them or their loved one, their disease has progressed to the point where they don't have mental capacity to make these decisions. So what we have to do in that situation is actually initiate a court process. You've got to file a petition with the court to have someone appointed as a guardian for the incapacitated person. And I mean, that, number one, it's expensive. Number two, it takes some time to go through the court procedure. You've got to haul a doctor in to testify as to the person's condition. And it's really is more complex than it needs to be. And it also opens up the issue for a contest, for a dispute. If let's say a daughter comes in to see me and says, well, mom's sick, she has Alzheimer's, I need to be able to pay her bills, I need to be able to make her health care decisions, she can't do these things. I file a petition to have daughter appointed as guardian. I've got to serve. I have to send that petition to every other person that could possibly be an heir of mom. So all the kids, if any of the kids have passed away, I've got to send letters to their surviving children, grandchildren. And so it opens it up for someone else to come in and say, well, maybe daughter isn't the best person here. Maybe it should be me. And then all of a sudden we've got a contested proceeding in something that could have been taken care of with a simple power of attorney several years ago.
Well, that was my next question. Does this go along with selecting somebody to be the power of attorney and then taking care of the paperwork to make that happen?
Yeah, and the power of attorney, if you put a power of attorney in place, if you go and at a time when obviously you're mentally competent, before there's an onset of severe dementia or some other disease that makes you unable to make decisions, if you do this and put a plan in place, you can appoint a power of attorney and never have to have a guardianship in place. Mm-hmm. It's, you're appointing the person. You get to make that decision. Mom gets to say, yes, I want my daughter to be the person to make all these decisions if I become incapacitated. It's very simple to do at that point. But if you don't do it, then, it becomes a much more complicated and drawn out procedure later.
Now, am I correct in saying maybe a mother or father have several children? One child could be responsible for their health, and the other child could be responsible for their finances?
Absolutely.
Right? You could break that up?
Absolutely. And I always, I almost always do two separate documents when I'm preparing an estate plan. One, financial power of attorney, appointing one person, whether it's a child or a friend or another trusted person, to handle making sure the bills are paid, selling assets if they need to be sold to pay for the person's care. Anything, signing tax returns and vehicle registrations and anything else that needs to be done in that regard, sort of the business part of the person's life, and then a separate document, a separate appointment of a power of attorney to handle healthcare decisions. It may be the same person on both documents, but you do have the opportunity then to say, no, I've got one child that is really good at taking care of, balancing a checkbook and handling bank accounts and things like that. And another child, maybe they're a nurse or a doctor or a physician's assistant, or they just have, they just would seem to be better to make the healthcare decisions for whatever reason. So, you can split that up.
Marshall Chriswell, our guest this morning. It's Marshall Law here on Indiana in the Morning. We want to remind folks where you're located in downtown Indiana and how they can get in touch with you. Yeah,
I'm in the Atrium building in downtown Indiana. And my you can always reach me as well online, www.westernpalawyer.com.
You get a lot of folks that are going online to get in contact with you, or maybe to ask you some questions.
We do. I have a contact form on the website, and it's a secure link, which the email comes directly to my email, and I do get a lot of people making the initial contact with my office that way to set up a consultation.
Okay, in our final minute, something that we want to make sure that we bring up this morning. Anything special that we haven't talked about recently in your visits?
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I think we just continue to try to drive the public education. As I'm putting on this seminar, and the website has a lot of good information. So in addition to this being my business, the idea of planning for the future is so important. I also make it a mission as far as public education, talking to people. And again, I offer free consultations for all estate planning matters. So if it's the first time you've contacted my office, you're just not sure about what next steps to take, come on in. We'll sit down. You don't need to bring anything. If you don't want to, just come on in and we'll talk about your estate plan.
And some of the other items that you cover, being a lawyer for folks, not only estate planning but also.
Oh, sure. I have it's a general civil practice. So in addition to estate planning, I handle family law matters. So, divorces and child custody and support. I also handle a lot of real estate transactions, business formations, forming LLCs and corporations for people, and then also probate estates. So preparing or handling estates, whether it be someone dies with a will, someone dies without a will, trust administration, all those kinds of things fall under the ambit of what I do every day.
Okay, so a lot there that folks can take advantage of by giving you a call and getting in contact with you. And, of course, in a couple of weeks, you'll be back again for your next edition of Marshall Law. Thanks so much for stopping by this morning.
Thanks. Good to see you.